All right, this is really cool. So in today's video, I want to share a little bit about the research that I'm doing on the psychology behind what it means to feel stuck in a very miserable situation. What I'm coming to learn is that being stuck in a place that you can't pull yourself out of, it's actually your fault. And here's the one step that you need to take in order to pull yourself out and to actually take action in creating the life that you want for yourself. But first, in case you don't know me, my name is Lene. I am a full time working wife and mom of three young girls. And just about a year ago now, I started this blog series called Operation Fix My Life, From Ordinary to Extraordinary, where I wanted to stop wishing and dreaming of the life that I had. And I wanted to start taking action, taking steps to creating it for myself. So much has happened over this past year since I decided to start taking action and creating the life for myself. And this channel is all about me documenting the steps that I'm taking to do that. So if this is your first time watching this video or coming across my channel, I hope that you would choose to subscribe. Because I have a lot of good stuff coming now that we're a year into this journey. So, last week I went live on Facebook about this topic, and that Facebook Live video actually had more organic reach than any of the other live videos I've ever done. And I think that it resonated with a lot of people who feel like they're stuck in situations for reasons beyond their control because of outside forces. There's a lot of, well, if he would only do this, if I could only do that, if only I had more money, if only I didn't have to, you know, do this job, if only. And what I'm coming to learn in my study of human behavior and the study of just why we act the way we do, why it is that we remain in places that we don't want to be, I'm discovering that while it might not be our fault that we ended up in a situation that we're in, it is 100% our fault that we're staying there. Now, this is not the case for everyone. There are some people that live in some places in some countries where it's physically impossible for them to just go out and create the life that they want. But if you're watching this video right now, that means that you're living in a place where it actually is possible for you to pull yourself out of whatever situation you find yourself in that you don't want to be in. It's 100% possible to do it. And I want to give you the one step that you have to take first in order to finally pull yourself out and to start moving forward into the place that you want to be in, into the person that you want to become. So, first, there is just I've been obsessing over, like, you know, dopamine and serotonin, the hormones that are released in our brains that are responsible for our mood, responsible for our happiness, responsible for how we feel pain, how we interpret and sense pain. Specifically, dopamine. Dopamine is the hormone in our brain that's responsible when it's released for it gives us feelings of pleasure and feelings of euphoria. It also acts as a pain numbing agent. So that's why you have people that become addicted to substances, to drugs, alcohol. They become addicted to things that release that dopamine in our brains, that release that pleasure hormone. Now, even if you're not addicted to drugs or alcohol, even if you don't abuse a substance, you're still addicted to dopamine. We all are. We are all addicted to that feeling of pleasure that we receive when that chemical is released from our bodies. So, for people that find themselves stuck in a miserable situation, the reason that they're stuck and they can't pull themselves out is because they are addicted to a scenario, an event, something, an occurrence that happens within that situation. They're addicted to that occurrence because that occurrence releases dopamine, and they're addicted to that dopamine release. Now, it could be, for example, someone that might be in an abusive relationship, or someone that is stuck in a crazy, miserable job. I mean, just an awful, awful job. But they feel like they have to keep going every day, and they feel like they can't leave. It might be someone who is overweight, obese, who feels like they can't take the steps that they need to take to turn their health around, to get healthy, and to lose weight, and to build the body of their dreams. There's something, I mean, if we just want to start with the weight loss, it's very easy. I mean, food is that. It's the food. It's the food that we're eating. It's the food in the standard American diet that just releases pleasure signals and pleasure hormones every time we consume it. So not only, and it's not only, we're all addicted to, really good tasting food, but people that are overweight or obese, the way that they eat has actually changed their brain chemistry, where if they don't continue to eat the foods that they're eating, they will fall into depression. I mean, that's how much that's how much the diet has influenced and changed even the brain chemistry, where that food acts now as someone who might be even addicted to a substance. So for someone, let's say, that's stuck in a very miserable job, I was watching he was one of the first YouTubers that I came across. He was talking about the fact that he worked in a job where he found himself in homes every day, that he had to do inspections in these homes, and these homes were just, I mean, really awful and terrible places to live, and the things that he would see in these houses, it was so traumatizing to him that the only way that he could relieve himself of that trauma was to start drinking. So after work every day and on the weekends, he would go and binge drink. And before he knew it, he was addicted. He had an alcohol problem because he could not cope with the trauma and the stress of that job. So for someone like him, I would say, well, why are you continuing to work in this job? It's so horrible. It's because the dopamine release that he receives from going and binge drinking in the evenings and the weekends after work, it's enough of a pain reducer to keep him stuck in that situation. I know someone else who was in an abusive relationship, and for years and years and years and years. And people would wonder, well, why doesn't she just walk away? Why doesn't she leave? And it was because every once in a while, her partner would say something or do something for her that would release that dopamine, that would provide so much pleasure and so much euphoria, where for years it kept her saying to herself, maybe things will change. Maybe he'll be different. Maybe he'll change. Maybe things will get better. Over the course of 12 years. This is how powerful that euphoria is. This is how powerful dopamine is. And I'm here to tell you that if you're stuck in a miserable situation, it's because there is an event that happens that releases that pleasure hormone in your brain that keeps you stuck in it. So if you want to pull yourself out, the first thing you have to do is find whatever that event, that occurrence, that situation is that you're addicted to. If you can locate where that is and what specifically that is, and recognize what's happening to you, recognize when it happens and you feel that, you get that high and you feel that pleasure, that's when you have to stop and say, this is what it is. This is what's keeping me in here. And the second that you realize what it is that's keeping you stuck in that miserable situation, that's when you have to tell yourself that you are worth more than that. You're worth more, you deserve better than this little bit of pleasure that you receive every once in a while that keeps you stuck. So if you are working in a horrible job, and every once in a while your boss comes to you and says, oh, I know you're underworked, I know you're overworked and underpaid. I know you're stressed, but we really value you in this company. We really appreciate the job that you're doing. That's when you say to yourself, aha, so this is why I stay. Because I live for this affirmation every once in a while. I live for this recognition. That's when you have to stop. Go look yourself in the mirror and say, I know that that compliment and that affirmation felt wonderful. It felt really good, but I'm worth more than this. I'm worth more than that. I deserve more. I deserve better. If you're in a miserable, it doesn't even have to be an abusive relationship, but just in a relationship in general, that's just, you're so unhappy and you put so much of yourself into that relationship, and it takes so much out of you, and you can't, and you feel stuck. You feel like you can't move. You feel like you can't leave. You feel like you have to stay. Find where it is that's keeping you addicted and stuck in that situation. So it might be every once in a while, it could be as shallow as the fact that you can say, well, at least I'm with someone, at least I'm married, at least I'm not single, at least I'm not by myself. That, it could be as simple as that. That's that dopamine addiction, that pleasure, that dopamine release, that hormone in your brain that's keeping you tied into that relationship. And certainly if you're, if you're someone who struggles with your weight, if you're someone who, even if you wish that you could just lose that 10 to 15 to 20 pounds, I mean, it's very simple. The fact that there is, you're addicted to just the type of food that you eat, or you're addicted to your leisure time. You love your Netflix and chilling time, you love your sedentary time. That's when you have to find other things to replace those pleasure hormones that are released from your unhealthy eating habits, your unhealthy habits. Replace that with something else, and then go to work in creating the body that you want and creating the life that you want. So I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that it provided some insight. And if it did, then please give a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you feel like there is a situation that you're in that you're like, no, Lene, sorry, I actually can't pull myself out of this, then I would love to hear it, even if you don't want to leave it in a public comment for everyone to see. If you want to, shoot me an email, you can email me at info@operationfixmylife.com. If it's something that you genuinely are curious to know whether or not you can pull yourself out of it, or you really want to locate what it is that's keeping you tied there, I would love to help you discover that. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.